time and that of our children, and most of mine too, would be spent in this house of ours, on this street, living among and with these people.
Before the video starts, I would just like to say that a YouTuber by the name of Jacob Geller beat me to making this video. He made a video called Games That Won't Leave the Dark, and it includes the game White Shadows, which is the game I will be talking about. It's a bit unfortunate that he beat me to it, because I thought I would be one of the first people to make a video about this game, because I absolutely love this game. But you know, when it comes to YouTube, it's very competitive, so you know, good on him. It's a great video, by the way, so after this video I would totally recommend watching it. In a world such as ours, we are constantly surrounded by racism, fascism, violence, and exploitative labor against the vulnerable. We look for ways to distract ourselves. Wait, I think I've said something like this before. In my last video, we explored escapism through dreaming. This time, let's play a game that confronts reality head-on. White Shadows is an indie game developed by Monocle on December 7th, 2021. This is a puzzle adventure game that takes heavy inspiration from games such as Limbo or Little Nightmares, with a 1940s aesthetic slapped onto it. While the game is aesthetically pleasing and has an important message attached to it, I was surprised to only find 352 reviews for this game. Perhaps it's the style of the game, the message it gives, or perhaps it's just the lack of advertisement. But there are games out there that got huge without any advertisements. I found this game via YouTube ad back in 2021. I was super excited to play the game due to its 1940s look and its Little Nightmares inspired gameplay. But when the game came out and I played it, my 16-year-old self for some reason didn't care about the story in games, so I just played and left it in my Steam library to rot. Now, 3 years later, let's reopen this hidden gem and take a closer look at it. Don't take this warning lightly. If you are bothered by these concepts, feel free to click off the video. I will try to censor and make light jokes, as I do not want to make this video too depressing. It's still important to be aware of this. We start with a massive sign that reads, "The founder says, all animals are equal." A term I'm aware most of us can be somewhat familiar with. Remember this phrase because it'll be very important later. The game opens with a giant clock in what seems to be a junkyard. A cuckoo crow pops out, followed by a small crow child. This is us. We are nameless and never learn the name. This game is very similar to Limbo or Little Nightmares in terms of its 2D inspired gameplay. Traveling through the dystopian world, we run into this giant sign, "Ravens, guilty," which begs the question, are all ravens guilty? Or is it just a common opinion? The first puzzle is quite simple. Move this box over to this ledge to help us climb this pipe and jump over these spaced platforms. Reaching the top, we will need to jump over these pipes to end up in the next puzzle. Pull this lever to get past this gate, jump on top of the gate to reach this box with bizarre art on its side. Push the box off and open the gate again, then we will use the box to climb back to the second platform to finish the puzzle. It's puzzles like this that create very interesting segments, and not only does it give us a small break from running and jumping, but it also foreshadows some upcoming story. Continuing on, we find this odd contraption that seems to scan us. And with our results, we can only assume that plague birds are some sort of slur towards ravens. As we walk past this... Yeah, that happens a lot. Here's an important sign to remember as well. You glow, as advertised by this slightly discomfort pig. I hope the pigs are treated better than crows. It's a bit difficult to see, but there is a number on the side of this pig, which reminds me of an inmate's number. Instead of being seen as a human, or in this case an animal, you are rather seen as a number or statistic. As we are elevated, we see a minecart of some sort pass by us with an electric symbol on its side. We also see another anti-raven sign in the background. This is what really tells us how ravens are treated in this world, albeit a bit extreme. Fun world, eh? This is an advertisement that shows a raven on it. Due to its name and the fact we are a child, let's just hope that this place is like a safe haven for us. We run right into this next area where these pigs are having what's called a light bath. After this light bath, they begin to start glowing and then get sucked into this tube. 1 light bath per day keeps the darkness away. For now, it is unclear why these pigs are trying to rid themselves of darkness. However, we will learn very soon. Going along this unstable path, that's real nice. We find this little dude running along here. They follow us onto this slender pipe until eventually running off. Later on our path, we see this structure in the background. This reminds me of the stacks from Ready Player One. In fact, some of the game's narrative reminds me of Ready Player One. The light baths and fun world being a distraction from reality similar to the Oasis. Later we find more baby crows running around by this train underpass of some sort. Using this cage to let ourselves out, we see this sign outside. Light is life. An advertisement for a product called Light Glow Batteries, approved by the Ministry of Light. So we know for a fact that light is very important to this world. Perhaps the world is similar to the city from Stray, which the world is completely buried under a floral utopia. Once you reach this part of the level, we will see one of the most bizarre level transitions I've ever seen. This tells us exactly why light baths are a thing. It's a cleansing of some sort to help ward off ravens. And according to the propaganda littered around the world, we can assume that the company who manufactures the light uses scare tactics to manipulate buyers into spending $50 a day. You would be spending over $18,000 a year, and this is not including living expenses, taxes, and other needs and wants. Sorry, off track. After solving this very easy puzzle, this platform becomes this strange flying machine, and we are sent to what seems like an area where Funworld is. Thank you for your service. Drink, you glow. Running to this gate, we can hear what seems to be pig screams until they're suddenly silenced. Going underneath the floor, we find this scene. It seems that the light is life slogan is more literal, as we see pigs willingly get turned into boxes of YouGlow. Quick side note, I believe in the demo for this game, instead of just saying YouGlow, I think it said box. They probably changed it for story reasons, but I just thought it was interesting. We actually have to use the YouGlow boxes to travel to our next area. Seeing a very interesting sign in the background, we must climb down these ladders while also avoiding trains. This is where I learned that the ladders are very bugged. I don't know why they act the way it does, but from my experience, you just need to be patient with your jumps. Later on, we find this room with an interesting puzzle. What you need to do is line the animals up to smack each other in the head. This seems to be a representation of the class structure, with the founder being at the top, then the rats, sheeps, then pigs. Wait, sheeps? While we don't see any sheeps throughout the game, I believe they are the ones speaking during the announcements for Funworld. Kind of a nod to the slang sheep, basically meaning someone who doesn't think for themselves, but lets other sources think for them. After powering the puzzle using a cage of baby crows, I line everything up for the pig to hit this button. But wait, if this is a representation of the classes, where is the crow? Oh. Yes, you need to do this in order to proceed. After ruining my conscience, we arrive to the next chapter. We start with having to go down this weird parkour type area where you need to climb down this ladder while avoiding these spike wall things. But for some reason, a train will come by as well, after which we will have to duck under these glow trains. We also see this sign here. Someone made that and thought they did something. Opening this hatch reveals a train passage, so without terrible timing, you can land on a train and ride it. Now, being the best platformer player in the world, I was able to do this on my first try, which just shows how goated I really am. After this sequence, we get eaten by a giant founder's head. Now for this next area, I don't know if I'm allowed to show most of it, so I'll censor what I believe needs to be censored. We end up in this room full of obese crows, and this room where female crows are forced to lay eggs, which is then put into these minecarts that we use to avoid the rats in the background. If the rats detect us, they will shoot and kill us, so be very careful in this area. Pulling this crow out of the pipe, similar to my uncle at family reunions, we do another egg cart stealth mission. Now, if I were to tell you that there are giant, buggy, metal arms who sort eggs from forced mothers to the song The Blue Danube Waltz by Johann Strauss II, would you believe me? Reaching the bottom with several baby crows on my side, we pull this lever, which just raises this platform up. I don't know what to do with this. Oh. After violating the Geneva Conventions, we end up in this baby raven farm. An animal farm. Animal Farm is a book written by George Orwell, released on December 29th, 1954. The book talks about the Communist Party, or Stalinism, and why it doesn't work, in the eyes of George Orwell, of course. The story is about farm animals who manage to overthrow their farm owner to establish their own government, otherwise known as animalism. Part of this animalism are 7 commandments, but we will only focus on this last commandment: all animals are equal. As the story goes on, a pig by the name of Napoleon manages to convince all the farm animals that he is the smartest and must be the leader. The sheep on the farm are so stupid that they remember the commandment as 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. As time goes by, Napoleon gains more power through fear tactics, such as talking about the return of the farmer, or the return of Snowball, a rival political figure with a better, more selfless ideology than Napoleon, who was earlier chased out of the farm by Napoleon's dogs. Over time, Napoleon changes the commandments to benefit him, until eventually removing all of the commandments and just replacing it with all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. This statement is also true in White Shadows, as all animals are put on different rankings of the social pyramid. The sheep even changed their chant to 4 legs good, 2 legs better, due to the fact that Napoleon broke the first commandment, which is similar to our theory from earlier about the sheep just following the leader. Keep all this in mind as we continue. We use the baby birds as a meat shield to protect us from this rat. Luckily, he gets a call in the middle of his shooting and spares us. We fall down this fun slide with all the baby ravens and end up on a conveyor to a meat grinder, most likely for Uglo. You have to jump off the conveyor to this hook, then climb it. Navigating our way down and having very unfair deaths along the way, we find another ad. It's the same as before, it's literally just something that both tells a story and is something to look at as the level loads. We end up in this area with a rat watching this light supply. He is listening to music that is backwards. Here is what the song sounds like when it's played in reverse.
Time, don't miss switch.
As the man around here, you can quote me on this.
A truly different cream sandwich, Swiss cream sandwich baked by Nabisco. The luscious creamy fillings in a class by itself, no other like it. And these tempting vanilla cookies are so light they melt in your mouth.
It's Swiss cream sandwich.
Anyways, get this box to the other side of the room while avoiding the rat's spotlight, and hide in this supply of light, so we can get put into a delivery machine. After the delivery, we leave the machine. We actually get caught. The camera will switch to the rat's perspective for some reason, and the rat will pick up the phone. The founder then appears behind us, implying that he is the one trying to protect us, but why? Well, we will learn very soon. The rat lets us go, and we see the Ministry of Light. Moving along, we are met with a giant Fun World sign. It's almost as if we were expected. Going through this door transitions us into one of the most interesting parts of this game. This is a boss fight. Turns out the founder really was trying to protect us. Remember those signs from the beginning? Yeah, he was trying to get us to his show so he can essentially torture us for entertainment. The boss fight is simple. You just need to avoid his attacks. That's it. It's just an endurance test. And remember that only a dead bird is a good bird. Something the founder pushes onto his viewers. He first makes us jump over some saws that come from left and right. Pretty simple. Then he moves these saws back and forth, just staying in between them and being very careful. He then raises two of his hands to smash down onto the ground, while he uses his third hand to make the arena smaller with the saws. Afterwards, we use his hands to jump through a ring of fire. Otherwise, we will be crushed or even burned. Once we're done with this boss fight, he will drop us into a strange machine. He will then plug 2 batteries into it, and it will give us a light bath.
Now you're light. Pardon? Now you're light. Oh my. Now you're light. So say light. That's right. Just say light. Just say light. Cause when you're light, you're pure and bright. That's how the story goes. And now you're light. Now you're light. Now you're light.
Walking away from this strange place, we climb up these stairs to an elevator, which takes us to this rocket ship. The camera zooms in and we learn the founder's real opinions on his people, similar to the final commandment of Animal Farm. The ship hands us an umbrella and sends us through this trap door, and the credits roll for Fun World after some very rude remarks. We are sent to the bottom of the dystopian world. There is a statue in the background that reads, "Anyone can make it," which could be potential foreshadowing, as he is also pointing to the sky. Also, there's this guy. There's not much to talk about this section. I believe it just represents progress being reverted or falling back to square one. We meet up with the Mad Hatter and find this written on the floor. I believe I'm starting to see a theme here. He pulls a lever and we plummet some more. As we're going through this tube, we see anti-founder graffiti and 2 birds in the background with a sign that reads, "The Future." Once we reach the bottom, we can see these baby birds all over the place and a phone ringing. This is what the voice says in reverse. I've tried my hardest to decipher what he says, but I have absolutely no clue what he is saying. I even tried going through the files, trying to find the audio file to have a clear listen, but I just can't find anything. If you guys can help me out with this, that would be huge. We enter this founder's mouth and lose our umbrella. While completing this puzzle that is delayed by an unsupervised child, you can see a sign in the background of a raven with "We are watching" written on it, representing some sort of rebellion. Another connection to Animal Farm, where the animals begin to rebel against Napoleon after he forces the hens to lay eggs. We then have to do this weird bird trial. This is a test to see if we really are the prophet. Continuing on, we find the pig sign from earlier, which just solidifies the idea of a rebellion. We are then met with even more obstacles. The birds are still trying to see if we are worthy to be their prophet. After finishing the trial, we go down this slide and we are met by this older raven woman who hugs us. She guides us through a forest of light, which also transitions us into the next chapter. She guides us to the seat labeled VIB, very important bird, and we watch a play. This tells us the story of why the world is the way it is. Wait, is that? Oh no. Once upon a time, the world was good. Green grass, blue skies, AAA companies made good games, when all of a sudden, there was a war that killed the sun. What caused the war exactly is unknown to me, but basically after the war, there was no light. But that doesn't stop this society. Oh no, they recreate their world using machines. Everything was good, and they established the saying, all animals are equal. Until, a pig gets sick. The wolves decide they wanted to be a part of this charade, so they managed to convince everyone that it was the bird's fault, and that they are evil. Lock them up, he says, but we can't just fill up our jails, let's force them to work to earn the right to live. So the female birds are forced to lay eggs for the rest of their lives, until one special egg was laid. This scene confirms that the older raven woman is our mother. Oh god, not again. Let's skedaddle. The egg manages to escape the machine only to end up in the farm anyways. As a little raven, we escape the farm just as we did before. We end up in the meat grinder, but we take alternate routes to escape. Now, prepare for this. We end up in the spectator section of Fun World, where we have to avoid pigs jumping up and down. The only problem I have with this section is how disproportionate we are. Before we were only like half the size of a pig, now we are as small as an olive? Whatever. We escape Fun World and have to escape this roamer type thing. Our mother takes us into this machine called the Profit Box. And we gain these wings. I think they are bugged. I don't think they're supposed to look like that. Anyways, as we fly up, we transition into the final chapter. We are sent into this giant tower. And I don't know if I'm just being stupid, but I had no idea what this puzzle was asking me to do until I accidentally made an infinity sign. I'm assuming this represents something, but I'm not too sure. We end up getting sent into the Ministry of Light, and I don't know how this puzzle works either. When I walk left, the door opens. When I walk right, it closes. I think I might have cheesed it by accident. Oh look, another phone. This ticket counter emerges and we get our number A38. So we just wait until our number is called. Oh look, it's me. Our number is called and we walk off screen, and now we're playing the duplicate. I can only assume what this whole section is about. Perhaps it's like a transition from going from one stage of our life to another, or maybe that could have been a false prophet that we ran into. I don't know. Flying to this tunnel, we get sent into the skylights. Keep flying, because you're still playing. Get on top of the light, and yes, this is yet another phone. Listen to whatever this guy has to say, and shut off the lights. White Shadows is a very aesthetically pleasing game with an important message. The story is interesting and I enjoyed finding connections to Animal Farm. However, this game somewhat frustrates me, specifically in its gameplay. It's obvious what they were going for, but I feel as if it's a bit empty. There are moments where you need to solve a puzzle or have an interesting train scene, but most of the game is walking left or right and jumping every once in a while. Controls are a bit funky, especially on the ladders. I do enjoy this game and the message it presents, with some unfortunate minor flaws. Another thing I found interesting from my research is that this is the only game this small indie game dev team made. I hope this group manages to make some more games with interesting concepts such as this. They seem to be hiring as well, so I know the company is not dead. We will only have to wait and see. Thanks for watching, and thank you for watching my last video as well. Small numbers, but it still means a lot to me that people want to hear what I have to talk about. Thanks for the support, and I'll talk to you guys next time.